What's going on, y'all? My name is Jay Faith, and this is the Right Mind Wednesdays podcast, where we sit down, make connections through conversations, and just share our stories, our passions, our joys, things that can help others in their lives. Appreciate everybody that's tuning in, checking this out. Appreciate all the followers, people that have been checking us out. Also want to shout out all of our past guests. Appreciate everybody that has shown support for this podcast and, helping it to grow into what it is now. Without further ado, I want to introduce our guest for tonight. Goes by the name of Stevie Cash. What's going on, man? How you feeling?
Good. How are you?
Good, man. I'm hanging in there. Busy day, but we're here and just doing our thing, as we all know.
Oh yeah.
So, what's life been like for you, man? As of recent.
As of recent, life's been pretty good. Constantly in the studio. Working a day job, but you got to get it.
Yeah.
Got to get it when you can. Been rocking with the homies, playing some shows, dropping some singles.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Looking to do more of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the singles game is definitely the thing that I've been trying to definitely work out. I dropped like 4, this past August, and then now just, back in the studio working on albums and all that other fun stuff, as I'm sure you are well aware of.
Dropped a couple singles. I'm working on a project, on the low, but right now it's just about the singles because I feel like I'm trying to prove something rather than put out a project as a whole.
Okay.
And so that experience, has been more of like a prove it deal rather than a showcase.
Okay, I got you.
I'm trying to more tell people what I'm about and who I am in different stories.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. So you're just really trying to show them all sides of who Stevie Cash is and, let them know, like, you're here, you're present, like, I'm ready to work. I'm here to do my thing.
And, kind of want to see the homies grow, too. So,
absolutely.
I'm rocking with the homies, Phi, PH and Balance.
Yes, sir.
Stevie Cash, Mikey D's, Johnny Rick, MC Kim.
Okay.
And so we're trying to, do the stuff all together at the same time while we're building up as solo artists.
Has that ever been challenging for you as far as kind of being with a group that is individually trying to do their own thing, but then also trying to kind of do it together at the same time?
For sure, because everyone's on their own time. So it's hard to, even when you get everyone in one room together, everyone's got their own ideas and everyone wants to do what they want to do. But sometimes, we've had, days where it's like, all right, Johnny Rick's taking the lead today. We're going to do, what he's thinking today.
Okay.
And, D's might be running something in a different studio and Kim's upstairs working on something else. So we're all just trying to get it. And whether it's all together or if I'm on my own time and I work on something for all of us and I come and show, it's different every time. Word.
So it's almost like a divide and conquer, kind of share the role, task type of thing, versus trying to compete over each other. It's all right, let's see, because everybody. I mean, to me, I'll speak for myself. Just some days you just don't have it. And I think that's what's dope about being a part of a group. Like, life's here in the background, but being a part of MoCG, Minds of One Collective Genius, and having those people around you, like when you do have those off days, it just allows you to be able to just kind of feed off each other. It's like, I'm having an off day, but you're having like a super just fire, just everything's coming out, everything's flowing, or just super creative. And then you can just feed off of that and it just like picks you back up.
Yeah, that's a thing too. It's, once somebody gets going, it's like, who's got the hot hand next, And me and D's have, a bunch of unreleased music together. We got a couple songs out. So me and him usually are like ready to go. And we're like, trying to make everyone else's job easier.
Yeah.
Because D's, he's like the main producer for all of us.
Okay.
So, he's the one taking charge a lot of times because he's like, I got this beat. And everyone's listening. Everyone's like, oh, he does got this beat.
Time.
Yeah, exactly.
It's time to get to work. And that's dope too, because like you just have, like I said, like you just have those people around you that can just really, help pick up the slack sometimes in a good way, because obviously like you guys, I'm sure you guys have that understanding of just where everybody is. You guys have been together for, a while now, and, kind of have that flow, as a team.
Yeah. And beyond the music, I mean, I've been friends with these guys since I was 11 years old, 12 years old. So we were all friends before the music.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a different level of like, we're doing it for each other and we got each other at all times.
Yeah, because I was even thinking too, like, but I think you guys have it figured out. Is like, it's just that I know I would worry of like the friendship, like ruining the friendship over like a music thing. You know what I'm saying? Because music has its challenges and stuff, and not to put that element into anybody's head.
No, I understand.
But like in my brain, like my personal fear is like ruining that friendship and trying to keep like the music side separate, in that type of deal.
If it ever got to that point for me, I would make the music by myself and be friends with them.
Yeah.
Our friendship's more important than the music.
Absolutely.
These guys are my brothers.
Right. I mean, especially that long, 11 years old.
Man.
Come on now. Like
talking 10 plus years,
right.
15 years.
You got to be able to work stuff out.
Yeah, exactly.
And, at the end of the day, business is business. And then, friendship is a completely separate entity in itself.
But we found a pretty decent way to make it work.
For sure.
Everyone's got a role.
Yeah.
And everyone's got to, fulfill that role.
Okay. So how long have you guys actually been making music together? I know we had Mike D's on the podcast a little while ago, but just to kind of bring it back, a little bit, because we had to lose him early in the podcast. So just trying to kind of pick up, where we left off a little bit. How long have you guys been kind of working together as far as music? Like, when did that kind of come across?
First off, shout out to Mikey D's. That's the homie.
Yeah.
So I have been making music since about 2014, and I was doing my own thing, and I was rocking with Johnny just a little bit. He came out on tour with me with Cody Pope back in 2015, 2016.
Sounds about right.
And then D's, after I had taken a little hiatus from making music, D's started making beats, and he kind of pulled me and Johnny into it. And, the second I heard one of his first beats, I was like, oh, he's got it. Yeah. Like, I just knew it right away. So I was like, all right, I'll rap, and we started making music together. And then MC Kim, he's always been singing.
Okay.
And he was fumbling around with beats, he started making beats, and he's doing that now. And so, I'd probably say 2017, 2018 is when we really started putting, Phi on it, the stamp.
So I don't think I actually got to ask him why Phi?
Phi, well, pH imbalance, he's from a neighborhood called Pinehurst.
Okay.
So he's going with the pH. Shout out to Pinehurst.
Okay. All right.
And
that makes sense.
But also, Phi is like the golden ratio.
Yep.
This would be a better question for D's because he knows way more about it than me.
Yeah.
But it's basically, has to do with like liminal spaces, and it's like something that I almost can't explain.
Yeah. Only he knows.
Only D's knows about Phi.
Yeah. No, that's cool though, because like I was just curious, like, because there's obviously different terms for pH imbalance and stuff like that, but to know that it's not what I actually thought it was referring to, but it's actually like repping the hometown and stuff like that. That's dope. That's cool. And yeah, man, I mean, I heard you talk about Cody Pope, man. Cody Pope is,
very good
that's
dude.
The guy. Shout out to Cody Pope as well.
Shout out Cody Pope.
I mean, that guy's been crushing it for a while now. I mean, we were doing shows over at, Carla Rose just down the street here. It's been a long time coming, because I think my first show was actually, probably 2015. Just after I dropped my first project in 2013, and then Cody got me on one of the Misery Loves companies.
For sure.
In like 2015, one of my first shows, and been rocking with him ever since.
Yeah, Cody put me on one of my first shows. I think it was like maybe the second Misery Loves company show.
Yep.
And I was rocking with, couple of the homies. We were called Lab Rats.
Okay.
It was me and the homie Big Z and a couple other homies. And, you know, I had put out a project, my first mixtape, and Cody, you know, put me on a show. I just got to rock out and meet a bunch of great people. You know, he cares about the scene in a good way, because I'm not a big fan of scenes, you know, because that shit can get political and toxic,
very,
you know.
very.
But he's just a dude who really cares, wants to put on for all of New England, not just, you know, New Hampshire.
Yeah.
And he cares about the music.
Yeah, that's the most important thing. I mean, I think, you know, that we've been able to share that with him is just how much he really tries to put on for other people. And, you know, I think, you know, definitely appreciate what he's done. I know for me, and I'm sure you could say the same, you know, just in helping our careers, you know, kind of get that launch and stuff like that too. And you said you guys went on tour as well?
Oh yeah, we went on tour back in 2015 when, you know, started in Jacksonville.
Okay.
Went to New Orleans and then back up the East Coast. You know, we played a ton of shows. It's just a great experience.
Yeah, yeah. How was it, just like working with different promoters in different places, or did you guys have like people that...
We had like a booking manager, so he booked, you know, the whole, you know, tour.
Nice.
Except, you know, we did a leg up in New England and Cody booked that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had met a couple people that were under that booking agent.
Okay.
So, like, you know, when we were in New Orleans, we had a spot to stay because he knew some people down there.
Nice.
Which was dope.
That helps.
I remember his girlfriend worked at Wendy's. She got a bunch of promotional $5 gift cards.
Nice.
She was like, just stick your hand in the bag and take as many as you want. You know, we were eating Wendy's breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Hey, man, if it's cheaper and almost free, why? You might as well. It's worth it for that period of time. You'll probably be sick afterwards, but at least in the moment, you're good.
When you got to worry about gas and hotels and all this stuff, you know, we're paying everything. We're getting guarantees, but everything's coming out of pocket from that. You know,
right.
You make $200 in a show, and you got at least $60 for a motel.
Yep.
And there's roaches and needles on the floor. I mean, we've seen it all. Had to switch hotels because it was just like, no, we can't stay here.
Yeah. We're trying to be cheap, but not this cheap. We're trying to, we got to protect our people too at the same time. Yeah, I've actually had to do that one time when I was in New York. There was like a mouse running around, and I was like, nah, man, you got to give me a different room. Like, I'm out. Nah, not worth it. But that's dope, man. Like, I've always been trying to figure out like people's different processes for like going on tour, setting up tours and stuff like that. You know, you have people that, you know, maybe jump on a tour, set up their own tour and stuff like that. So it's just interesting to hear how people kind of set those up and kind of work with different people.
No, I understand that, because from my experience, I would say jumping on somebody else's tour probably be a better idea. Just because, you know, a Tuesday night in Indianapolis and nobody knows who you are, you know, you're not going to necessarily draw a crowd. So you got to...
That makes sense.
You got to hope that someone there is going to bring somebody in.
Yeah. That makes sense. So, I mean, you're in booking your own tour, you know, I guess there is that risk of, like you said, like just the uncertainty of the crowd that you're going to be kind of introduced to when you get down there. But it's, you know, it's risks that I think we have to take. You know, we have to get there and, you know, to get ourselves out there. Hopefully, even if there's, you know, 5 people in the crowd, at least that's 5 people that, you know, you didn't know before that connect with your music. And, you know, that does have its benefits. And
every day I woke up and I was free. And that's what it's all about. I was making music.
Yeah.
And I was on the road every day.
Nice. So you guys made music while you were on the road too?
Just we were, you know, put on beats in the hotel room because we were just sitting there all day.
Oh, okay.
I was under 21, so we weren't going to no bars.
Gotcha.
Grab some beers, throw them in the mini fridge, and
there you go.
Get to work.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, do what you got to do, and I mean, the work doesn't stop, and especially if you have the time, and just take, you know, the experience of it all and kind of put it into music too. I mean, I can't imagine.
Oh yeah,
that's cool, man. That's dope. Yeah, man. It's Cody's, again. Shout out to Cody, man. He's just, you know, just one of those people that just always just holds it down for everybody, and
for sure,
you know, what's things been like for you as of recently? You know, coming off, you know, I say coming off the tour, but just coming off, the tour, growing in music, like what has that process been like for you?
Well, I'd say probably like a couple months after I came back from tour, I was just real down on music, on everything.
Really?
And I stopped making music for 2 years.
Oh, wow.
I wasn't dropping nothing. I wasn't writing.
Wow.
And that's around the time when D's started making beats that I got back into it. And ever since then, like, I've just been grinding, just trying to get better. Because I was like, I look back at what I was doing back then, and I was like, I'm never going to let that happen again.
Okay.
Like, it's got to be better. It's always got to be better than the last time.
Yeah. So you needed like that restart with that 2 years. Because like, I always talk to people that, that like come off tour and they're like, all right, now I got to get like back in the studio. I got to start, making more music. So it's interesting to hear that you were just like, not like I'm done, but like I got to put a pause to this.
Because at that point, I thought I was done. I was like, I thought it was going to be it for me.
Oh,
wow. I was like, oh man, I'm not feeling it. And then I just was like, well, if I get better, then it'll be worth it.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I need to get better flows, better punchlines, better rhyme schemes, I'm just constantly trying to sharpen the swords.
Yep.
Because it's got to be perfect.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, I forget who I was having this conversation with, but I think a lot of people need to recognize that, like, even going through those like crap times and those hard times of like, it feels like it's a failure. It feels like, I should quit. I should be done. But like, you have to look at what you took from it. Like you said, like I learned like I need to work on my flows. Like I need to work on this. I need to work on A, B, and C. So it's like you didn't go through that for nothing. It was just like, it's just changing your perspective and realizing, even though it sucked or just wasn't what I thought it was going to be, it helped me still grow because I was like, that's what I don't want to do. Okay, so now I need to focus on what it is that I do want to do. And fortunately, Mike D's came over and was like, just started dropping beats and, it just kind of set that spark under you. And
well, at that point, it's like, there's no one I'd rather do it with than my best friends.
Right. Right.
So it was like, and, that's no slight to anyone that I've ever worked with, but like, it's different. It's just way different working with them. It's so natural, when you got a producer that you feel like, oh, he knows how to make beats for me. And it's almost like you got specialized beats. Yeah. And I'm one of them guys who when I'm like, who's that beat for? I'm shady when it comes to the beats.
Like, hey, I'm like, what you got over there?
No one's rapping on this one? Yeah. Which I've stolen a couple beats from the homies.
Hey, if you're gonna sleep on it,
but man,
get to work, man.
And once they hear it, they're like, oh, that's all right, fair enough.
That's for you, yeah. Now, I mean, that must be comforting too, especially working with somebody that has been your best friend forever, and then going through kind of that challenging period to be able to get back into it. Because again, maybe I'll speak for myself. Like if I were to work with somebody like brand new, I feel like it would be more challenging for me to get the gears rolling again because like I don't know them and trying to like see like, okay, they feeling it, are they not? But like having somebody again that you've known for years, like I feel like that would be more comforting and just knowing like, okay, like this person's going to keep it real with me. I'm going to be able to just like, they're going to understand where I'm coming from to help me get back to where I need to be.
Exactly. And they'll push me, more than anyone else. Cause if it's not good enough, I'd rather hear it from them than someone else. So, there's no yes men around. Like, we hype each other up, as much as we can. And then, but if it's not right, I'll say something or they'll say something.
Yeah.
And whether any of us listen, sometimes we're stuck in our own ways. If sometimes someone will say that's not the one, and I'll be like, nah, it's the one.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, sometimes everybody's opinion. And sometimes it can go so far, sometimes you just gotta be like, you know what? Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I'm gonna stick with this. This is where I need it to be, and this is how it's gonna stay.
For sure.
So I mean that's dope, man. Like I said, like just having that partnership, especially for that long, and just those people, and shout out to the whole team, man.
The whole team,
Balance, man.
healthy competition too, because
Yeah.
everyone's getting better. So we feel like someone's got a dope verse, you got to step it up.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like at the top is like, it's almost like not almost like it's a friendly competition in a sense. It's just like, all right, who's got it next? Like who's gonna like top the next person?
Mm-hmm.
But like again, you have that understanding. Like we're doing this together, but like it's just only motivation to just get us like going and pushing forward.
Yeah, that's for sure. And any chance we get, we're in the studio working.
Mm-hmm.
We don't necessarily go out a lot, but
save yourself the money.
Yeah,
honestly.
I know it, right?
That's what I've done. I don't go out too much now. I just focus on what I need to do. I got plenty of stuff to do. I got podcasts, music. Obviously my 9 to 5 stuff like that. It's just these are the things that I'm passionate about, and I tailor almost everything I do to one of those. If I'm going out, usually it's for a music thing or or a church thing. Or I'm gone for work or something like that. It's always a combination of one of those things. So, but it's where I'm happy.
Oh yeah.
Like I just went to J Plus's birthday. I don't know if you know J Plus.
I do know J Plus.
I was gonna say,
Very dope.
I'm sure you do. Just went out for his birthday, but it's all music people. But we're celebrating birthdays. We're celebrating life.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah. So it's still in combination with music, but it's just what we love. It's just what we do.
Sometimes it's tough to get out to these shows, but
Yeah.
I never hold that against people.
Yeah.
If we put on a show and people don't come out, I never hold that against people because I don't pop out.
Yeah. It's tough sometimes, and again, shout out to people that are able to, hit up these shows and do this kind of stuff. It's just hard sometimes, like, just people's schedules and, and everything like that. A lot of times, I mean, for me, it just falls on a day that I just can't do it. I have, stuff that are kind of pre-programmed or, I'm doing a podcast, like even like Cody Pope's stuff, that are on Wednesdays. I'm like, man, like if I wasn't doing the pod
every Wednesday, Wednesday,
I would be there. Cause again, that's the homie and he's put me onto my first show and always been supportive of, and been honest with me too, and he's kept it real outside of music too. Like we've talked about fitness and stuff like that too. So, and I'm just like, man, like I hope, like I really want to be there, but I'm here doing this and I enjoy it and, obviously wish him the best and everything he does. But yeah, just trying to get to these shows and show support. Cause I know like the other half of it is just the networking piece, which is always helpful. But
sometimes it's also, if you don't got something that I want to see,
yeah,
I'm not going to come. I'm not going to come just to network.
Yeah, exactly.
Some people will hold it against you that you don't pop out to their shows. And it's like, oh, man, if you spend more time in the studio and less time at these shows,
right,
maybe I'd want to come to these shows.
Right, and actually catch the music and stuff like that. Yeah, and I've actually like just popped out to shows sometimes and like I've had people try to network with me and I'm like, this is like you're not. It was almost like a waste of my time in speaking with these people because I'm like, you're just not. I don't think like they just understood what I was about, and they were just like kept going and going and going and trying to like do this whole sales pitch and stuff and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, but like you haven't taken the time to really understand who I am as an artist and what I'm about and what I'm looking forward to, And I was just like, man, like. I'm like, is he done? Because I'm trying to go.
Some people, man, they'll talk your ear off and they don't even listen.
Yeah, that was the thing. I was like, man, like, because I would say one thing, but then like he would just go off on a tangent on something else. I'm like, but that's not what.
That's like this is the first time I've ever been on a podcast, and I'm like, I'm more of a listener than a talker. So I'm like, how am I gonna do this?
Yeah. That's always like the first impression too when people come on. They're just like, man, like what am I gonna talk about? I'm like, dude, like we're just having a conversation and just sharing different stuff, just sharing the experiences, whether it's life or for you music and whatever, and like let's just connect people and go from there, man.
No, this is a dope platform. This is a great opportunity for any artists out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Make your way on here. Let's go. So you've been doing Bridgeside ciphers as well. How's that been for you as far as like developing yourself as an artist? Because like obviously I know they do a lot of different showcases and ciphers and things like that. How do you feel like that's been beneficial for you?
I just think, first of all, the quality is on point. You know, you got the bridge and the skate park in the background. Great music, you know, great beats that, you know, producers are sending in. The microphone's real nice. So it's like the quality first and foremost.
Yeah.
But then also like, it's just you know, you can show out, you know, like people like that kind of stuff. You know, you got a minute-long clip of yourself rapping. People are going to watch it rather than a song that you're posting a picture of the art and they got to go click on something and then click on something else. Like, no one's got time for that.
No, they don't. That's like such the tough part about marketing is trying to figure out what is really going to catch people's eye. And sometimes it like flip flops sometimes. Sometimes they're just like, yeah, I just want to see the clip art. Cool. And then other times they're like, oh, I want to see the music video and spend 3.5 minutes watching it and catching up and comment. And I'm like, can you guys make up your minds and just make it easier for us as
exactly.
artists? Like,
because then people, crazy. Once they start asking for the mixtape or the album, you know, you got them. So it's, you know.
It's just finding it. It's
honestly.
Just
like a little bit of bait for them to, you know, see you rapping, you know, dope background, everything, you know, included. And it's so short that they just listen to it.
Yeah. Yeah, I love seeing those clips because it's just it's like so intimate because you just have, you know, the artist that's rapping, performing, and then everybody's behind, but then you still can see like, you know, the cityscape, you can see the bridge, you can see, you know, some of the skate park and stuff. Like, they definitely do it well, and it's definitely a good, you know, marketing tool for anybody that gets down there. And you know, shout out to everybody that's over there.
Oh yeah,
you know, doing that. What was I gonna say? There was something I was gonna add to that too. Let's grab a drink, man. Like, I'm thirsty. It's hot. Please. Shout out to 41st Studios. This is where we're at. Shout out to them. Everything they do.
Very nice studio.
Jeez Louise, man.
Drink more water.
I need to. I feel like it's affected my show performance a little bit because I don't drink enough water, and then I go up there and my voice is dry, and I'm trying to chug water, but then I still gotta, you know, crank in this 15-minute set, you know, and you know, but I've only allotted myself 13 minutes because I'm trying to cram in all this music so that people can hear me. And water is key. Water is key. Stay healthy,
especially if you smoke. I smoke, so it's like you know, before a set I'll be outside ripping cigs and I'll go in and I got no breath. Yeah, but managing breath control is a huge thing.
Huge. I've noticed that in a lot of people, and it's definitely key. It takes a lot of practice, and if you got to understand it, there's a science to it.
Exactly.
There's definitely a science to it. And I remember when I was talking with Deez, you know, you guys kind of deliver like different types of music as far as like even because I wanted to like catch up on this too. Is like even like the sound quality because I remember he was saying like you guys kind of mix it up a little bit. It's not always like fully mix and master, but you guys try to like tweak it a little bit just to give it that different sound. Like, can you
for sure? You know, I did a video shoot maybe about 1.5 years ago down at QNC Studio.
Yep.
And it was basically a live performance that we recorded with 2 cameras. You know, it wasn't, you know, mixed and mastered and all that. It was because we wanted it to be gritty, you know, the verse and the beat, everything about it was gritty, so we wanted it to be like that. But sometimes, you know, Deez dropped a song before he dropped his last project, Square One, and, you know, it was more of a R&B style song, so we kind of went up the level on the mixing and mastering. Yeah. Because it fit the...
I think it depends on the song and what you're doing, yeah.
I mean, for me, I'm more into the gritty stuff. Yeah. But I like the high quality, so I try and meet somewhere in the middle.
I mean, it's a good, like I told Deez, I think it's a good mix to just kind of keep it interesting too, from a listener perspective. It just keeps it interesting. It's not kind of literally not the same sound every single time you guys put out music.
For sure, because at the end of the day, we're artists, you know. We make what we feel.
Yeah.
So you don't want to put out the same thing every time.
Just gets redundant.
Exactly.
And old, and then the listeners stop listening, and you're just like, oh, it's just the same thing we heard on the last album, and then you're like, all right, great, now I gotta go back to the drawing board and figure this thing all the way out again. No, I love that. I love that. I love the switch because it just keeps things interesting. How do you feel you guys work? Like, I guess I should say, what is your guys like? Do you guys have like a game plan as far as like, okay, we're going to drop something for PH and then individually, like do you guys kind of like tailor things that way?
We got it mapped out in a way, but it's more just, we know what's going on. So it's like, I've had a couple singles, but I knew D's was dropping, a couple months back. So I was like, oh, I'm going to hold off. And then once he drops, give it, a couple weeks after that, I'll start promoting what I got going on. So I dropped a single, Plateau, a couple weeks ago. And then I'm going to hold off on, let that run its course. He might drop something in the meantime. Johnny might drop some, Kim. And, I got some singles on deck that I'm ready to drop, but I just don't want to step on anyone's toes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's kind of how we do it too with like mine. I was just curious, to see how people kind of maneuver through something like that. That's kind of how we do. We're just like, hey, like I'm dropping this. We're like, all right, cool. Like let's, let yours marinate, and then like we'll kick it off. But me at the same time, I'm like, oh, like I want to drop, like, you have that like song. You're just like, I know this is going to be a really good song and I want to drop it, but I got to hold off.
Exactly. I'm always ready to drop at any time. I'm like, we could just drop this tomorrow. Right. It's like, we don't have artwork. And I'm like, we don't need artwork.
Right. Just give me some clip art. I'll figure something out. Just give me some text. I'll put it up there.
Deez is real good at, putting all that stuff together. He's a big part in what we do.
That's good. So he plays like a pretty decent role in.
Very big role in everything we do.
Nice. Yeah, definitely have to get him back on here. Hopefully get, all of you guys out here.
That would be awesome.
I think that would be pretty cool just to get everybody together under one roof and, kind of chop it up a little bit.
Especially, one collective to another,
Yeah, Life, are you still here?
Yeah.
Dude, how sick would it be? Like a pH imbalance and a MoCG podcast, like just all at once. I think that would be pretty sick.
Just a huge round table.
Just like a huge round table. Like we can just bang out the conference table that's right over there and just have a huge. I think that would be sick.
No one get a word in edgewise.
No, not at all.
Everyone's gonna be talking over each other.
Right. That's true. That might be tough.
It's tough enough when the four of us are in a room together, all going around.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. Yeah. I don't know. I still think it would be sick.
If we could figure it out, that would be so much fun.
If we could figure it out, I think that would be really cool. Just having two collectives just come together. Cool. So what do you guys have coming up? Like, what are any projects that you guys are working on?
We're planning on we got the Phi tape in the works. It's been in the works for a little bit, but we're constantly chipping away at it. Mm-hmm. It's going to be mostly the four of us, and then a couple features here and there from close homies of the group. Because it's not really a group when we say collective. It's it's more of the idea, and anyone who's gets behind the idea,
you're under the umbrella.
We'll rock with.
Dope.
There's plenty of people who we mess with out there.
Nice. I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's about community and just building up the culture, as we talked about earlier. The toxicity that you kind of see. Mm-hmm. You definitely want to just keep that out, and I've always been about just trying to boost everybody up, and I'm glad, again, like every time I have somebody on the pod, it's kind of the same thing, and I'm glad to see that more and more people are doing it, of trying to just bring more community instead of the toxicity that has been going around and stuff like that. So it's good to see.
Now that I've been doing this for a little bit, getting back into it after the hiatus, I see a bunch of new cats around. And I see their intentions, and I'm like, I'm all good. I don't want to be on your podcast. I don't want to play your shows.
Yep.
Like, I've seen how you move, and I'm all set.
Yeah. That's pretty much where I'm at now too. I've kind of like over this past year, starting at the top of this year, just really just focusing on like what it is that I really am as an artist, and like, really understanding like my value and things like that, and being like, I don't need to do every song. I don't need to do every show. Like, I understand where I'm at now, and it feels really good because I'm like, and it's like weird at the same time because I'm like, no, I don't want to do that song. And these are people, and it's all love to the people that, you know, I'm referring to. I won't say any names, but, you know, because these are some people that I've worked with for like quite some time. But I'm like I'm a little bit different now. I've evolved a little bit with my music, and I'm like, that's not where I'm at anymore. You know, I'm still down to work with you, but just not on that specific thing.
Yeah, and that just comes with, you know, evolving and, you know, getting better.
Yeah.
Because that's my whole thing is just constant. You know, Phi is all about growth.
Yeah.
And if, you know, you're stuck in the same and you're not trying to grow, you know, we'll give you the keys, but if you're not willing to grow, then, you know, we're not messing with you.
Right. And it's also, if I'm not in that headspace anymore, I'm not going to give you what the song or the show necessarily deserves. So like, I'm not doing you any justice by still doing the song that I know I don't necessarily want to do. So, you know, it at the end of the day, it benefits everybody, you know, and just being like, sometimes you got to say no. And people got to be okay with that.
Oh, for sure.
It's not for me, it's not a diss. It's not like the song sucks or anything like that. It's just, it's not for me. And I would rather give you something that I know I can deliver on and give you the best song that I can.
I understand that because I'm less likely to say yes. Not really big on working with people unless, you know, because I might mess with you. But if I don't think you're on my standard skill-wise,
Yeah.
it's like I'm not even going to bother.
Right.
Because there's a lot of people who are kind of just, it's almost like they're getting lazy about it. Like their homies tell them it's sick, so they start to believe it.
Yeah.
And you
It's
can't.
the yes man.
Yeah, you can't believe it. You got to always say it. Nah, it could always be better.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, it just comes down to evolving and growing and just realizing who you are, just taking those steps.
For sure.
So I'm gonna bring this question back. This is a question that I used to ask a lot of people. What would you feel is the best piece of advice that you've ever been given to date? It puts you in the hot seat for a second. But the best piece of advice that you've ever been given to date that you could think of, like something that just like sticks with you that you're just like, man, like, yep, every single time. Like, share with everybody. One of those things.
Wise man told me, can't climb the ladder of success with your hands in your pockets.
That's a dope one.
And I've always taken that and just been like, oh, I guess I got to be more hands-on.
Yeah.
But I mean, sometimes you see people just in the literal sense, people with their hands in their pockets. Yeah. You're like, oh man, what are you doing? You're just like, you should be doing something.
It's like those people that just expect things to happen with the minimal work being put into it, and then just going, just kind of like waiting at the bus stop for the.
And I've been that guy before, you know. I've been,
same.
In recent,
Yeah.
I went out to a cypher a couple nights ago. Didn't go how I thought it was gonna go. The shoot didn't end up happening.
Yeah.
But there were people spitting in a cypher, and I was kind of just sitting off to the side. And after the fact, I was like, you don't always got to go up, but sometimes you got to show. As Dee said, actually, as he went up, he was saying that, he was like, I wasn't a spectator. He was in there. Sometimes you just got to make the move.
Yeah, you got to get out of your comfort zone a little bit sometimes, or just, even if the situation doesn't turn out how you want it to, try to make it something that you want it to be. And again, that takes being in that moment. That takes, growth, knowledge, and all that stuff like that. Because I honestly, I probably would have stepped to the side too. I would have just been like, all right, cool. Like, I'm just chilling, just watch y'all do your thing. And, cool. This is dope.
Especially, sometimes it's slim picking. So you're like, oh, I don't even want to get in this cipher. There's no challenge here. If everyone was, spitting bars and getting hype, maybe I'd hop in.
Right. And I think it goes back to like what you said before, just, those things that are worth your while, those opportunities that you're like, yeah, I definitely want to do, or those opportunities you're like, this just isn't for me. It's, and it's not a diss to anybody. Everybody's on their own levels of as far as
For sure.
what they're doing. It's always love and respect when as far as that goes.
If you're doing it,
yeah,
you could be not doing anything at all. So
that's true, man. That's true. No, this is cool, man. That's an interesting. Yeah, can't climb the ladder of success with your hands in your pockets. Yeah, a lot of people sit in their hands. It's not even in their pockets. They sit on their hands, just literally just waiting for something to happen.
Exactly, and then they don't even realize the moment passed them by.
Well, that's the problem. They're sitting on their hands, or the hands are in their pockets, and then the thing flies by them, and instead of being able to reach out and grab it, their hands are in their pockets, and then they don't get the opportunity that they were looking for, and they go, I guess I'll just wait for the next one.
Exactly.
It's like, dude, no, you can't.
You got to get out there.
You got to get up and chase that thing down, first of all.
It's like there's been so many dope things around Massachusetts and New England too. They used to do the subway ciphers, and all these movements. The freestyle clinic,
Yep,
and it's
I
like,
remember those,
everyone's nice, which not everywhere is like that.
No.
Some places if you're whack, they tell you to fucking scram.
Yeah, seriously. I know Boston definitely has a lot of opportunities out there. It's just people just gotta. I mean, you got to do a little bit of homework, but they're there. Like, so, you can't say that there isn't something out there for you. It may not be the big glamour lights that you're hoping for, but there's still those opportunities for you that you can really grab onto and, show out and do.
You got to take whatever you can get.
Yeah. I mean, look at we started just, and again, I'm not knocking it by any means, just like right down the street, Collar Rose, like, those are things we're popping every Friday, almost every Friday night, every other Friday, just constantly. And it made for the best music. It made for the best connections. I mean, you with Cody, A-Bizza, shout out to A-Bizza, Just for Kicks, who, I met for the first time now, years later, Mine's One Collective Genius. Like, we've all just connected through those smaller opportunities that we were just like, hey, like, let's take advantage of these opportunities and really jump into it. It's just one of those things, man.
For sure.
You'd be surprised where things can turn out if you just take that opportunity and just kind of just dive into it.
You got to dive into it.
It's important. A lot of artists just don't. They just, it's sad. I see it a lot. Just a lot of artists just trying to just wait and just expect things to be handed. And sometimes it unfortunately does happen.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It gets frustrating sometimes.
Yeah, I try not to let that bring me down, because if I get it, I want to get it on my own, and I want to feel like I'm doing it the right way.
Yeah.
You'll never see me spitting over my vocals, I want people to hear the pain,
right.
I go to these shows, I'm not knocking anyone who does it,
Yeah.
Everyone does what they want to do.
Right.
But if I, as a music listener, hear you do that, I won't even listen. Like, even if I'm standing right in front of you, like, I just kind of zone it out. I'm just thinking, like, Same. I would really like to hear what your voice actually sounds like.
Right. It's like, yeah, I laugh because MoFlo, which we both know, we have this constant conversation about this because he hypes for me, and we do shows together as well, and we'll go to shows and we'll just hear people, and then like as soon as somebody starts rapping over the vocals, like we'd kind of just give each other that look, and then we're like, all right, so we're gonna kind of zone out for the next like 15 minutes, and we'll kind of wait for the next artist. But we think the same thing. It's like we want to hear you, like we want to hear. And sometimes the funny part is the people that are rapping over their vocals, and this is just a lesson and tip of advice for anybody listening that may do that. Again, we're not knocking it. It is what it is. People do what they do. But sometimes they don't even need the backing vocals.
No,
like
not
I know
at all.
sometimes people do it because like they feel like they need it. And I'm like, dude, you are rapping every single word. Like just, leave some pieces if you want, but you don't need every single thing. Because like sometimes like when I do like some of my show stuff, like I'll maybe leave like a tail end of some stuff.
That's
if
different.
I'm going quicker,
yeah, exactly.
and I just need to like catch my breath because it's just that fast or whatever. Not to brag, but it's not every single thing. And I'm like, dude, like if you only realize that like you can do it, like you're fine. Like you don't need those backing vocals.
But then sometimes you'll get someone who's like got the whole song playing. They're only ad-libbing themselves. They're not even spitting nothing, and they're sitting down. I'm like, man, you're just being lazy.
Yeah.
And that's something I do knock, you know.
Yeah.
Because it's like I care so much about this that when someone shows a disrespect to the craft or the art,
there's an art to it.
It's
really
like
is.
You're disrespecting me.
Yeah.
It's like I can't bang with it at all.
But it's to me, like it's the experience of it all. You know, it's just like, I don't know, it's just the experience. Like we always say, if I wanted to hear you rapping over vocals, again, this is just my opinion, because I know there's people that are going to throw a lot of shade, whatever. But again, just hear the opinion. If I want to hear you rap over your vocals or sing over your vocal singing is a little bit different, but I'm getting away from my point. I could just listen to it in my car. Like, I could just do that outside. Like, I want to hear you give me a performance.
Yeah, it has like a sandpaper aspect to it that you don't get from, you know, a mix and mastered song.
I want to hear that emotion that you put into that song, because I definitely think performing it live and then performing it in a studio, you get different wavelengths of emotion. I think live, like something just comes out that is way different than a studio.
For sure. I've done a lot of my songs. I've played them live a ton of times before I even put them down on the track. Because I look at like a comedian, they don't record their Netflix special on their first time doing it. They go out on tour, run it a couple times, take out what they don't like, see what the crowd likes, and then they record the special.
That's actually a good way to put it too, because like I've noticed, like I'll put out a song, and then, you know, I start doing shows with it and stuff like that, and then as I'm performing it, I'm like, man, like this would have been dope if I just did it this way, and then I'm like, oh, but the song's already out, so it is what it is. But I get what you're saying. It's like you've just practiced it and rehearsed it so many times that it's just like second nature. It's just like breathing at that point, and then you're just like, it just evolves into something super dope.
For sure, because then you can pick out like, oh, I might do it like this one time, and I notice that somebody reacted to it, so that's going to go in the final version, even if I don't perform it like that every time, because, you know, it's a different emotion every time you're performing it. So that's why I'd rather hear someone do it without the vocals in the background, because I might catch something I didn't hear last time.
Right. And it's like, to me, it's like you said, it's sometimes like I do feel some people, not all, do get lazy because they kind of hide behind those vocals that's in the background. And I'm like, dude, like this song is amazing. Like by itself, it's amazing. Like you could make it 10 times better by just not rapping with the vocals. Like for me, what gets me a lot of the times too is like music videos. Like I can hear a song and like kind of like it okay, but then as soon as I see the music video and like I can see where the emotion is, where the story is coming from, then I'm like, yo, this song is like way different than I expected, so much doper than I could have ever imagined. And I feel like that for me, that's the same thing with the live performance. I just get that different feel from you when you're actually just raw and in your emotions.
Exactly. That's why as an artist, you got to have the music videos. You got to have all these things.
Yeah.
Because you really want to portray who you are through your music. And whether it's a video, a cipher, you know, just a video on Instagram of you spitting, you know, on the mic.
Yeah.
Anything like that, you know, shows people who you really are. And it's like, it's the same with any other craft. You just want to show people who you are.
Exactly. That's what I was just talking to Self-Made Designs just this past week. And, you know, they kind of said the same thing. It was just like when you do like your reels or whatever you're putting up on Instagram, like not everybody can relate to the show picture or you in the studio. But if you are, you know, you go somewhere sightseeing, or you do go somewhere for dinner. Not that you have to post every single thing that you eat, but you know what I'm saying? Like, to see like the real you, see the food that you like, you know, those are things that people can relate to. And that's where you start to build that fan base, because it's not just the music. It's like, oh, I can really understand who this person is now.
For sure, you might learn something new about someone you didn't know.
Right. It's like, oh, you're a Boston Red Sox fan. Oh, yeah. Cool. Like, I am too. Like, dope. Or it's like you almost have that like love-hate. Like, no, I'm a Yankees fan, but like his music is kind of cool. And like now we can have that kind of rivalry. I can banter with them on IG or something every time that they put up a picture of them in their Red Sox hat or something like that. Now I can have that kind of banter, but they're cool about it.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I got a homie who's a photographer who's a Colts fan. And I'm just man. A Colts fan?
Yeah.
But then friggin', last time I seen him, and I had never met him in person. I had talked to him a bunch online just about sports.
Right.
And when I saw him in person, it was like we knew each other for years.
Exactly.
And I'm like, oh, the Colts looking good this season, just shooting the shit, taking jabs at him. But, stuff like that does bring people closer together.
It's just forming those relationships. And like, again, like I love that personal connection with artists. Like, I've said this before on the podcast, like one of the things that drew me into DMX was seeing like, and this is like way back in the day, like the VH1 Behind the Music. I don't know if you remember that, when VH1 was actually music.
For sure.
And I remember just seeing that and like just learning about his life and like seeing the actual things that he went through. It wasn't the glamour. It wasn't the Rough Riders. It was like addicted to crack and smoking weed and gangs and robbing and stealing. Like the stuff that he was talking about, like he was living it. And like at that time, I was just like, oh, it just must be, just stuff that he's rapping about. But it's like, no, like he was like literally in the dirt, like living every single piece of that. And like that's what made me appreciate him and his music more, was getting to know who he was
for sure
as a person,
and seeing that something so beautiful can come from something so ugly.
Right.
Seeing people's scars isn't always a bad thing.
Yeah, because like I remember they brought up a clip of him. He was on stage, and I think he was like, he just like broke down crying, and then he gets off stage. And he's like, I don't want this anymore. Like, I don't want this. Like, I hate the fame. Like, he's like, why me? Like, why? Like, God, like, why did you give me this? Like, I'm like a terrible person. Like, I don't understand. And I was like, I never would have thought that.
For real,
like,
especially from the music, because
right.
It's so hype.
Yeah.
Even though when you dig into what he's really talking about, you could see it there.
And like just hardcore person, like, I mean, it's DMX. Come on now. Like, and then to like hear that like he like just doesn't understand like why he has it, as somebody who's like, I'm the best rapper, and then you're like, he's like doubting himself. It's like, it's crazy.
That's
so
heavy.
Like, yeah. So it really to me it really takes getting to know the artists, getting to know the people, and again back to just the performances, like that helps me get to know you a lot better, to see you in your raw form and really get a sense of who you are as an artist aside from the song that you're playing in the background.
For sure.
So just word of advice, like again, as a music listener, this is hip hop aside, as a music listener, I'm coming for the experience. I want to hear you. I want to hear that raw emotion that you got. So give it a chance. Try not to rap over your vocals.
Please.
Just do your best. I'm telling you, you're gonna attract a lot more people, and I mean that in the most positive way possible. So is there anything else that you want to share that like the team has got coming up? I know we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. Anything that the team has got kind of cooking up that you can share, or the
Phi tape in the works.
Phi tape, okay.
I got a single, Skinny Testaverdi. It's going to be dropping in a couple weeks.
Skinny Testaverdi. Okay, now I need to know. Can you give a little bit like what's behind Skinny?
That's just one of my I have many aliases.
Okay.
And Vinny Testaverdi was an Italian quarterback. I'm Sicilian, so I call myself Skinny Testaverdi.
Okay.
Just, something stupid. But
yeah.
when it comes to naming songs, I'm like, why do I have to name this song?
Right.
I never want to name anything.
Yeah, I just want to put it out.
Yeah.
Can I just put blank? Or insert here, and then whoever's listening to it can just put whatever they want.
Usually I just do whatever the beat name is. Sometimes I'll write whole songs based on what the beat name is.
Yeah.
But, if I'm not messing with it, I'll just be like, what's something I could call this, Sometimes it'll, just come to you.
Just formulate.
Like a lot of times when I'm writing too, like the concept creates itself as it's going.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily go in with like, I'm going to write a song about this.
Yeah.
It'll be like, I'll be like, 4 or 8 bars in, I'll be like, I see where this is going.
Okay.
And now I'm going to run with it.
Nice.
Which is how I've written a lot of my music.
Yeah. Same. Like usually like the beat will catch me. And then if that process starts running, like I just go. Like I don't necessarily need the hook right off the bat. Like I'm just it'll solve itself. It'll come, and then as soon as I get to 16 and then the hook's there, I'm like, oh, okay, that's what I need to put for the hook. And I'm like, okay, cool. But yeah, sometimes it's just I just take the beat, like you said, like sometimes I'll just run with the title because I'm just like, yeah, that really speaks to me right now, and that's where I'm gonna go with it.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Where can just before we wrap up, like where can people kind of connect with you, learn a little bit more about you, check out the team as well? Where can people kind of link up with you and the team?
For sure. Instagram at Cash the Prophet. Prophet spelled with a PH. PH Imbalance on Instagram. Mikey D's on Instagram. Johnny Rick, MC Kim. SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Music. I got a couple singles out now, a couple more coming.
Dope.
And then hopefully a project on the horizon.
There you go. Well, man, Stevie, I really want to thank you for coming out here.
Thank you for having me.
Being on the pod. Appreciate all the words of wisdom, everything that you've shared here today. Appreciate everybody that's tuning in, that's listened. Check this out. Make sure you follow Stevie Cash and the team, PH Imbalance. Shout out to the whole team. Shout out to 41st Studios for hosting us. Appreciate you as always. But until next time, my name is Jay Faith. This is Stevie Cash. And this is the Right Mind Wednesdays podcast. Catch y'all later. What's up?
Bye.